Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Indiana Overtime. Alex McCarthy, John Bauer, and Feenan Inside Indiana. You saw us last week after the Missouri game, which was basically the polar opposite of what you're seeing us now. We're home here in Bloomington, as well as down the road, and we're here after an incredibly disappointing Indiana loss instead of an exhilarating upset victory. Indiana loses 37-15 here at Memorial Stadium to Maryland. And it didn't even really feel that close. Indiana was just totally unable to do anything on offense. And the defense kind of kept them in the game for a long time and late. I don't know if they got worn down or if the energy was just low or whatever, but Maryland was able to kind of tack on a couple extra scores late against the Indiana defense. But really, a lot of this is on Indiana's offense. It's just a really dismal performance from them, which we've really never seen before.
Yeah, to say the least. And it starts under center with Nate Sudfeld, who went 14 of 37 today passing for 126 yards, which is really, really bad. He was one hopping into his wide receivers, overthrowing them. He had two throws that were overthrown to streaking wide receivers. Going down the sideline, and if it would have been caught, I'm not nearly positive those would have been touchdowns. He looked all right running the ball today. He had like 30, 40 yards rushing.
Yeah, he gained 45 yards, but he lost 20 on sacks. And
but 38% was his rate completing passes, and that's really, really not good. The running game did struggle, but they did top 200 yards, I believe. For the fourth time this season.
Yep.
But you can't really say that's bad because that's a lot. And Sudfeld in the passing game never got it going. That's really where it starts for me.
Yeah, a lot of it. I mean, Indiana kind of lost the battle up front, which was kind of bizarre for an Indiana offensive line that is really good, really experienced. It was just kind of odd to see guys in the backfield so often with Nate Sudfeld kind of pressuring him, forcing him to throw it away. He had two intentionally grounding penalties today, which is really weird. I mean, the first one was a really questionable call.
I will say, going back to like the offensive line and Maryland's defensive line, in each of the last three games, IU has struggled to run the ball in the first half against Bowling Green, Missouri, and then they struggled pretty much all day today. Mm-hmm. But what I noticed against Bowling Green and Missouri is that IU started running the ball outside more.
Yeah.
And when they did it today, it works. D'Angelo Roberts and Coleman especially are pretty shifty, can easily break a few tackles on play, and it just didn't seem like they did that today.
Yeah, it was weird. They did have a couple successful plays to the outside.
Yeah.
They actually had Coleman had like a 40-yard touchdown run or something that was called back. Yeah, that was called back because of a holding penalty that again was really could have gone either way. But yeah, after it was weird. After that run, we only saw him run it outside 2 or 3 more times the rest of the game. It was kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, just watching kind of the ineffectiveness of Indiana's offense was just very bizarre. Coleman, I mean, like you said, they topped 200 total yards. Coleman for the sixth game in a row rushed for more than 100 yards. That's the longest streak of anyone in the country. And Indiana's only touchdown today came from Coleman. And that's the 13th game in a row where he's rushed for a touchdown, which sets the all-time IU record. And he tied Anthony Thompson last game with 12 games in a row, and he got in from 5 or 6 yards out, four yards out today to extend that streak. So I mean, it's certainly impressive coming from Coleman. He had a really good run late in the game, but it just didn't seem like Indiana ever really kind of got it all together on offense. Kind of the bright spot for Indiana's offense was, well, actually not really on offense, was a special teams player, Griffin Oakes. We saw him come in last game against Missouri for Aaron Del Grasso, who, Kevin Wilson said has a little bit of a groin injury, but really just wasn't really making his kicks. And then Griffin Oakes comes in, and he was phenomenal today, actually.
3 of 4, made his first 3 field goals from 38, 48, and 58 yards, which is an IU school record. And the longest Big Ten made field goal in the Big Ten since 2009, I believe. So yeah, he was very impressive. You cannot argue that. He was very impressive.
Yeah, he was stellar. I mean, the only kick that he missed was a 54-yarder that, from a collegiate kicker, you can't really, expect him to consistently hit 50-yard field goals. I mean, It was at the very end of the first half when I sent him out for the 58-yarder, and I don't know, I just thought it was kind of crazy, and he just absolutely nailed it. I mean, it would have been good from 62 or 3. I mean, he just like totally bombed it. He's certainly the kicker from here on out.
You'd have to think so.
Yeah. I mean, even if Del Grosso is hurt right now and comes back from his injury, I have to think that today's performance and even last week against Missouri kind of clinched that for Griffin Oaks. But really, the bright spots were kind of few and far between for Indiana today. The crowd was really into it for the first half, and then just kind of, in true Indiana fashion, just kind of dissipated at halftime. And it seemed like a couple of the players were kind of rubbed the wrong way by that after the game. But I mean, it's what Wilson's been saying the past couple of years, where until Indiana gives people a reason to stay all 4 quarters in big games like this, you can't really blame him, and he kind of apologized after the game for drumming up all this support, all this momentum, all this excitement this week, and then coming out here and basically laying an egg here in the Big Ten opener against Maryland. They start 0-1 in the Big Ten season. I think I read that Indiana has won its Big Ten opener once in the past 15 years, something crazy like that. And no. And Wilson was saying in his press conference this week that teams don't win their divisions by starting seasons 0-1. And so it's obviously an uphill battle for Indiana in Big Ten play, and it's kind of up to them to prove that this loss, the Bowling Green loss, were kind of outliers, and that team that we saw in Missouri is the true Indiana team. It's kind of, I guess, what they're going to be trying to prove the rest of the season. That starts next week back here again against North Texas. I think it's like a 2:30 kickoff.
Yeah, 2:30.
I don't know where they get these game times from, why they kicked off at 1:30 today and then 2:30 next week, but we'll be here for that, certainly. I don't know if there's anything more you wanted to add, John, about today.
Just when we thought we might have figured this team out after beating an SEC team on the road that was ranked no less, they, like you said, laid a complete egg. I don't know what's different about a complete egg or just an egg, but they laid an egg today against Maryland. So I guess we'll have to wait and see which Indiana team comes to play against North Texas next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is 3 weeks in a row where I've kind of been surprised at what I've seen. The loss of Bowling Green surprised me, the win at Missouri surprised me, and I expected this game to go either way. I thought it would be closer than this, but the fashion in which they lost this surprised me. So we'll see if they surprise us again next week. I don't know how they're going to do that, because I can really see anything happening next week against North Texas. But until then, for John Baumanfeed, I'm Alex McCarthy, and thank you for watching.